Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to the Hendrick-Hudson School District Board of Education meeting. Today is Wednesday, March 25th. The time is approximately 1:13 p.m. We are live streaming this meeting because of some restrictions and considerations given the COVID-19 crisis throughout New York State, the Northeast, and certainly the United States. So the Governor Cuomo, executed an executive order, and in that executive order, he provided some flexibility as well as some guidance for municipalities, including school boards, to function and continue to operate remotely via video or telephone conference. We're very thankful to Greg Cavalieri that we were able to live stream this video so that the public can hear and see in real time the business of the Board of Education. On the telephone, we have our Board President, Dr. Carol Popolo-Abraham, Board Vice President, Lisa Anderson, and three trustees, Bill Aricchio, Lori Ryan, and Barbara Pedersen.
I'm here.
And we have Mary Pat Briggy is also with us. Corey Notrika is absent from this virtual meeting. In the boardroom is Greg Cavalieri, who's coordinating all of our technology, myself, Joseph Hochreiter, and our Assistant Superintendent for Business, Enrique Catalan. And with that, I'll turn it over to our Board President.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Board of Education meeting. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as stated? So moved, Lori.
Second by Bill Aricchio. Second by Bill Aricchio.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Are there any items that anybody would like pulled from the consent agenda today? Okay, as we don't have any additional items being pulled from the consent agenda, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated?
So moved by Bill Aricchio.
Lori. Thank you. We do have a couple of items removed from the consent agenda, and those are an acceptance of donations. Give me 1 second because my computer is a little bit slow pulling these up. All right, for some reason board docs just shut down on me, so perhaps Roseanne, maybe the donations? I can state the 3 donations if you like. That would be great. We have a donation from New York Life. We have a donation from the Lacrosse Club to purchase team bags for the lacrosse team, and we have a donation from Saturday Night Live television show. Okay, can I get a motion to approve those agenda items, please? And thank you very, very much for those donations.
So moved by Bill Aricchio.
Second, Lord. Thank you. All right, we had a provision for the public to email into us questions ahead of time, and there were no emailed questions ahead of time, so we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Well, we've been dealing with the COVID-19 crisis throughout Westchester, New York State, and really everywhere. I believe at last count 38 states have closed all of their schools, so this certainly is a response that is far and wide and throughout the United States based on what we understand of COVID-19 from the medical profession. We've been communicating with parents through every vehicle possible to us: email, website, social media, direct emails, and a lot of support and thanks to our teachers and our staff and our administrators who are making this work. Over the last week, since today marks our 1 week anniversary of digital schooling, We've heard from many parents and many students who are thankful that we were able to pull this off, thankful for the teachers who are providing rigorous and enriching instruction, and we're really fortunate. This district has continually made a big investment in educational technology, from software to infrastructure to support and professional development. And without all of those things, we would not be able to do what we're doing. Our staff has responded with resilience and grace. Our administrators are continuing to lead their schools virtually. We've had many different virtual meetings. Our district office team has met virtually a couple times. We're going to meet again at the end of the week. And this is new. It's somewhat exciting. It's also very anxiety-producing and terrifying. But we are doing the absolute best we can with the resources we have. Our questions outnumber our answers, but we have a direct line with the governor's education secretary and with the state education department. So the good news is this is not specific to Hendrick Hudson or Westchester anymore. This is a statewide and even national issue. So we'll continue to plug along and provide the best we can for our kids while we continue to receive guidance. We do not know at this point whether or not the closure will extend past next week. There are a lot of indicators that suggest it will, but no official decision has been made. We've asked the governor and the state education department that if they are planning or expecting to continue the closure into April or beyond, that they make that decision sooner than later so we can plan and we can be we can provide more opportunities for kids to receive resources or instruments or any materials that they need. But this is really an unprecedented situation, and I'm extremely proud of how everyone has responded in these really bizarre and unfortunate circumstances. And I'll leave my commentary at that. And just real quick, before we move on with the rest of the agenda, would certainly like to appreciate Claire Carey, her food service staff. They're providing hundreds of breakfasts and lunch every day. They'll continue to do that through spring break. They have been there they get there around 9 in the morning, but are serving brown bag breakfast and lunch between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. Our security staff are there to deal with traffic issues and make sure that the line moves smoothly while observing social distancing. I would like to thank Laura Nyer and our technology staff for getting laptops and Chromebooks in the hands of students that need it and making sure that our systems are up and running during this time. So, everyone has played such a vital role in making this happen, and we're very fortunate to be in the situation we are under these conditions.
Thank you very much for that, Joe. And I would like to second those sentiments from the Board of Education as well. And I need to go back a step in our procedure, because although I realized that I asked for a motion and a second, I didn't ask for a vote on either the consent agenda or the items removed from the consent agenda. So if we can just back up briefly, and can we say all in favor for the consent agenda?
I did get a motion for the consent. I did not get a motion for the donations, however.
Okay, and we didn't get a vote for either one, I don't think.
Yeah.
Bill Riccio motion to accept the donations.
Yeah,
And Lori Ryan is, right, and Lori seconded.
right. But so I even got a motion for the donations. Bill Riccio and Lori Ryan accepted those donations.
Okay, so we have to get a vote of yay or nay.
We're good to go.
Okay.
Is Roseanne going to poll each of us for a vote? Roseanne?
If you
Come on.
would like me to, I could, but it's up to you.
Based on other meetings I've been to like this, I think that's how it's typically done, so you clearly know who voted what.
Sure. Okay, so let's take a roll then for each one we have for the agenda itself.
Okay, so why don't I call out each person alphabetically and you can vote yay or nay? Would that work okay, or would you prefer, Roseanne, if you call people out?
It's fine the way you can, it doesn't matter. You can do it.
Okay, all right. So, all right, so for our consent agenda, Lisa Anderson. Lisa, yay or nay?
She's Mike, yay. She said yay.
Mary Pat. Okay, Mary Pat.
Yay.
Bill Riccio.
Yes.
Barbara Pedersen.
Yay.
Lori Ryan.
Yes.
Okay, and now the donations. Lisa Anderson.
Yay.
Mary Pat.
Yes, we're good.
Bill Riccio.
Yes.
Barbara Pedersen.
Yay.
And Lori Ryan.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we are ready to move on to our presentation and discussion.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Enrique. I'm here with Joe and with Greg at more than 6 feet of distance between us, among us. This is the last presentation that we'll have for the 2020-2021 budget. Why don't we start? Our preliminary budget in January 8th was between 81.6 and 82.6. As of today, the number is 82,137,880. Last year it was 80,040,270. That's an increase of 2,097,000, and it's an increase of 2.62%. Our tax levy is 46,348,000. Last year it was 43,740,000, with an increase of 5.96%. I think it's important to say here that if we had not had the problem with Indian Point, our tax levy would have not increased at all. The New York State cap for next year is 1.81%, and our cap would have is 11.34%. Our cap this year is 48.7 million. Last year it was 43.7 million, so it's an increase of 4.9 million as a cap, and that would be the 11.34 that I mentioned. In the next page, we see a preliminary budget. We can see that state aid went up around 13%. BOCES aid went up 2.5%. Then we have other income that went up 3.7%, and that's mainly income from our ABC program. Sales tax, I have not adjusted it, but at this point is $1.2 million, and that's because of the increase that was passed last year. However, given the situation, since it's a sales tax, that might be reduced substantially. Transfers, I reduced them by a little bit from 82,000 to 80,000, and then this year we're going to use fund balance of $3 million compared to $1.3 million last year. And pilots are coming down 12% because of the Indian Point closure. Our non-property tax revenue will decrease 1.4% from 36.299 to 35,789. Our proposed budget will increase 2.62% from 80,040,000 to 82,130,000. And our tax levy that we discussed will increase 5.96%. Our tax cap again is 11.34%. In the
Can the
next,
camera be focused any better? It's a little blurry on the internet, what you guys are focused on.
We're trying to, Bill. I think it's a function of the monitor that the presentation's on. I will let people know who are following along at home that this exact PowerPoint is on our board docs if they want to review it on their computer screen rather than TV. But
Okay.
we may.
You can have-
Thank you.
Same time. You open the board docs and you look at the printout, the attachment. You can look at that and just follow along. Just not look at that, but look at the. You can still run the video. I'm sorry, the audio. You can run the audio and look at the board docs printouts at the same time, and it's a little bit clearer for anybody.
All right.
Great, got it, thank you.
Just real quick, before we move on to this next slide, slide 6, any questions so far from anyone? Okay, we'll move on. Slide 6.
thank you. In the graph at the top, we can see how inflation, we're comparing inflation, the New York State tax cap and our tax cap over the last 6 years. The blue one is inflation, the red one is the New York State tax cap, and the green one is ours. And as you can see, between the 13-14 school year and last year, we were usually below both inflation and New York State tax cap. And last year, for the first time, we were a little bit, like less than 0.25% above both of them. And obviously, because of our problem with the pilots, now our tax cap goes way up. In the graph at the bottom, we can see budgets and tax levies since the 14-15 school year. And as you can see, our tax levies have been much lower than our budget up until last year. And this year, obviously, our budget is going to be a lot less than our tax levy, and that's because we need to make up the money from Indian Point pilot. Next. This is a division of our revenues. Again, as you can see, tax levy is the greatest part. Then still pilots represent about 29% of our revenues. State aid represents 8%. BOE is about 1%. And then we have a little bit of all of the rest besides fund balance and cessation fund that represents 4%. In the next page, you have two graphs of expenses. The one at the top shows expenses by code, and as you can see, the biggest expense are our salaries. Then is plant maintenance, and then you have a little bit of the rest. But again, this means that most of our expenses are fixed, which means our salaries that we have to pay to all our employees. Benefits represent the second biggest portion, and then the rest. In the graph at the bottom, as always, we need to represent the expenses by government accounting, that it's divided by 3, curriculum and instruction, that it's the blue one, the major part, capital budget, that includes all our maintenance and our debt, and administrative budget, that includes everything for the administration. Any questions?
Yes, Enrique, you had mentioned that we're anticipating our sales tax revenue to go down substantially. Are there any other areas on this budget that you expect our financials to change substantially?
Not really. My concern is if state aid goes down. They haven't passed a budget, and with all the new emergency needs from the state, I believe that it's going to change. But I don't know how much. I don't know if it's going to change. It's very difficult to know. As long as the changes are not substantial, we can add a little bit of fund balance, and hopefully between now and April 15 that you will have to approve the budget, we will have not a little bit, a lot more information so we can adjust our budget.
That's what I was just about to ask, if we were expecting that we'd get more information anytime in the next 2 weeks or so before we have to approve this budget.
Honestly, I don't think so, because the governor is focused on the coronavirus rather than state aid. But no one knows. All the schools in the state have to submit a budget, and without knowing state aid, we cannot do it.
In normal years, we would typically approve the budget now so we could gear up for our communication efforts and publication requirements. And again, our average tax increase since 2013 has been an average of 1.04. So this is the first year that we've had a substantial tax increase, and all of it is attributed to the pilot reduction from Indian Point. In fact, the around $3 million of reduced pilot payment would be more than the proposed tax increase. I'll say that the other way around. The proposed tax increase doesn't even cover the pilot reduction, meaning we have continued to tighten the belt along the way. It's almost impossible to mathematically, it's impossible to run any sort of business or a school district where your average expenses are increasing at least 2% a year, but your revenue is only increasing on average 1% a year. That difference are decisions that the district has been making along the way to tighten the belt and be more efficient. That includes having more efficient bus runs. A number of years ago, we installed solar panels on all of our facilities to drive down energy costs. These include cooperative bidding for supplies, materials, gas, oil, you name it. So we're at the point where the Indian Point closing is now impacting our tax levy, and there's not much else for us to cut until we start looking at people and programs. And this board has made a commitment over the last 7 years to restore those programs that were painfully eliminated going all the way back to 2008. Waiting a few more weeks, I guess to answer your question, Carol, waiting a few more weeks doesn't hurt us. I don't know what new information we'll learn, but there's no rush to approve the budget today. What we would do is we would likely schedule a special board meeting between now and the 15th, and go through this presentation one more time and approve the budget.
Okay. Can I see if anybody else on the board has comments? Maybe we'll go around the table, so to speak. Lisa, do you have anything you wanted to say?
Not at this time.
Mary Pat?
I think it would be terrible to give the extra time just because this way people can provide, anybody who would be watching or, following it can provide whatever questions or feedback, and we can address those. I think it's pretty clear that, we've made a lot of inroads in terms of, restoring programs, and that much of our, the increase is a function of the employment. I don't, clarity. I don't think it would hurt just to give that extra, whether it's a week or whatever, to have that extra meeting and fit that in to do the approval.
Good point. Bill, do you have anything to add?
Just to restate pretty much what's already been said, I mean, with the fluidness of what's going on with the coronavirus, and we don't need to make a decision till April 15th, according to Enrique, I don't think we should try to make a decision, and we've made a lot of cuts already in anticipation of the revenue we're losing with Entergy pulling out. So we've made a lot of cuts already, but since we don't have to make a decision, I don't think we should try to make a decision at this point in time. Let's see what happens with the governor, and if our community has any points that would be of value to us.
Okay, thank you. Barbara?
Yeah, I agree with Mary Pat and with Bill. I think that time extension is definitely important in lieu of, a lot of people are being tied up in their houses because, not tied up literally, but tied up in their houses because of the coronavirus, So I think giving people the opportunity to give input is extremely important. So I would consider definitely waiting on the vote.
Hey, Lori?
I don't know if it's going to really make a difference one way or the other. Like, a lot of people are very nice and say we're going to wait for the community, but we very rarely do get too much input. My thing would be waiting for our governor with any changes. So if it doesn't hurt to wait, we could wait, but I would base it on New York State as opposed to us. But yeah, if we could wait, that would be fine. If Joe and Enrique think we should go ahead, I'm okay with that too.
All right, well, it sounds like we've got a pretty strong consensus to go ahead and wait a week and try to schedule, or a week at least, and try to schedule another special meeting to do a final approval of the budget.
I just also would like to thank everybody for working so diligently on preparing the budget. And I know there's been so many up and down times with, school being held off. And, I'd just like to thank everybody, Enrique, Joe, the Finance Committee, everybody who worked so diligently on preparing this. So thank you.
The deadline.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, everyone. The deadline is April 15. However, I have to make some submissions to SED, and it's not working well. So I would like to have this meeting at least 2 days before April 15, just in case there's problems with the submissions.
Okay, well, let's be sure to give Enrique plenty of buffer room there. I don't think too many of us are going anywhere. So we'll get together after this meeting and try to come up with a date that is satisfactory to most, if not all of us.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have anything to add before we move along? All right, so we haven't had any committee meetings, so we're going to skip that section, and I think that brings us to the end of our meeting.
Did we not have a finance committee meeting?
We did, we just talked about the finance committee.
Okay, but we did have a finance committee meeting, but yes, we just covered that.
Okay, so yes, noted. We did have a finance committee meeting. Was there anything else that anybody wanted to address? Lisa, have you spoken to the Westchester Putnam School Board Association with anything that you might like to share with us, or?
There have been several town hall phone calls that they've been having over the last couple of weeks, where school board presidents or members of the board have been asked to talk about what's been happening with their school districts with the COVID-19 situation and how they're handling the different, new things that are going on as a result of it. Those conversations have been very valuable. mostly the last one, I know, Carol, you participated in that one, but it was focused on what to do with school budgets and the voting that's going to be happening. And there's just a lot of, what the most useful part about these conversations is that we're able to get ideas from other districts and try to come to a uniformed consensus on how to proceed as best we can, or at least get ideas of what's working in other places and what their thinking is. That's, there's just been a lot of information about, as much as they can send us about what's happening with state ed, but Joe's been keeping us informed about all of that as well, so I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, and as Lisa said, she was able to participate in the first one of these town hall meetings. I participated in the one this past week, and there's certainly a lot of discussions around how is a budget vote going to happen with the public and those things, and it remains to be seen. It's a work in progress, as we all know. And Joe has been doing an excellent job of keeping everybody informed about what's going on, both the board and the public in general. And I'm sure he will continue to do so. So stay tuned. I think that is it for our meeting. I'm going to give one more chance. Any other comments?
Carol, I would just also like to thank you for writing a letter to the staff on behalf of the Board of Ed. I think, everybody has gone out of their way to do an exceptional job. I know teachers have been video chatting, they've been, talking with their students in other ways, making sure, things are done. Joe spoke of, Claire and our other people that have been doing incredible work, and Joe himself, who's been working incredibly hard to hold things together in our district. And I just would like to acknowledge, thank you, Carol, thank Joe, thank everybody who's been, going above and beyond for our district to keep things working and keep kids learning. And it's just, an excellent thing that, we've been able to accomplish. So thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Barbara.
You're welcome,
All right,
Carol.
Can I get a motion to close the meeting?
So moved, Lori.
Second by Bill Laricchio.
Shall we poll to see who's in favor?
Yes.
Okay, Lisa?
Yes.
Mary Pat?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yeah.
And Lori?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. We will certainly let everybody know when the next meeting is, which will be a special meeting to talk about the budget again. Thank you very much.